everybody. Welcome back. We're back again. Look at that. Episode 5. Now we got episode 6 of Chocobo Central, Kyle.
We're wearing the same shirts. Don't look into it too much.
Yeah,
Don't think about it.
It's a Final Fantasy 7 shirt.
I actually have 7 of these shirts, so I'm actually wearing a new shirt.
Final Fantasy 7 shirt, 7 of your shirts.
Yeah,
7
exactly.
7.
Yeah, it's all connected.
Everything is connected.
We live in a hadron collider.
Everything is connected. But hello, it is I again, your dapper Chocobo, Kyle. Although I'm not dressed very dapper, so that's just bullshit. I'm a liar. So.
All right, that was a series of lies that you just said. Yeah.
But that was a reference to me and my Twitch name, so please go to Twitch and look up dapper_Chocobo. Please and thank you.
Go out there, watch some Twitch, guys. You know.
But hello, Kyle's here again. Hey,
hello.
Look.
Hello.
Kyle's here.
Hi.
We did Dragon Ball last time, Kyle. We did some anime. We're gonna swing the other way back to video games. We gotta do some video games discussion.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, in episode 6,
still weeby bullshit. You know.
Of course, absolutely.
Still in the same way.
That's like our power level.
That's the
like,
vibe.
Instead of Super Saiyan levels, it's like weeb levels, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You'll know when we reach 3 when we're wearing like chin strap, mullets. You know what I mean?
And my eyebrows are gonna disappear.
Beards and mullet. Yeah.
Eyebrows disappear. Such a weird touch.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
But today we are doing lists. People love lists.
Lists.
Big fans of lists. What we're doing a list of is we're going to do a list. I got 5 games. Kyle has, more than 5 games, but, dwindle it down perhaps, of JRPGs. We're going to go into the past, Kyle, and we're going to put together a small list of JRPGs we personally think are worthy of a remaster, remake, or sequel.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right.
This is an important list,
Absolutely.
All anything with JRPGs out there listening,
please listen.
Note. We're speaking on behalf of the industry,
yes,
or at least
exactly.
the fans, the consumers.
Exactly. All right, well, let's go. Let's do this.
All right.
So do you want to just bounce back and forth?
Why don't you give me your 5 so I can give a different 5? How about that? Because we might have some crossover here. Yeah.
Okay. So just list all of them. Just boom. Go ahead.
Or or if you want to say why it's what the reason if you want to give a reason or if you want it to be a sequel, a reboot, take your time.
I basically gave myself the hell just happened there. I gave a couple bullet points. I have the 5 games and then the bullet points of just some kind of random information. So my first game, Kyle, or I guess series, really, because I just kind of listed it as the series, is Breath of Fire.
Nice. Yeah. Yes.
Breath of Fire, dude.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah.
Breath
of
on
Fire. My list. Very mad it's not. That's a perfect.
So Breath of Fire was developed by Capcom. Good old Capcom. The first one was on Super Nintendo in 1993. Similar to Final Fantasy, there's kind of a lot of consistent sort of things between the games, like with Final Fantasy, how there's always a Cid, for example. Always a Cid. In Breath of Fire, the main character is always Ryu, the blue-haired protagonist, and then Nina, who kind of looks like an angel. She has angelic wings, so that's always a constant in there. The first 3 of them kind of have a medieval fantasy type of setting. And then when you went into 4, it was kind of more of a classic European, Japanese folklore style. And then with 5th one, which was the last one, that was on PS2, Breath of Fire Dragon Quarter, it was this sort of underground dystopian setting, which was really different compared to the other ones.
Yeah.
And very unique. And actually, I think it was 100 floors. The game actually had a counter in the corner of which floor you were on, and you were kind
of that one. But
okay.
I remember the look of it. I don't remember the floors. That's kind of interesting.
Yeah. So that one you were climbing to the top. So basically, the civilization had moved underground, and you're going, Ryu with Nina to try to get to the top.
Get out. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, but yeah, that's basically where the series ended, unfortunately. Or the main series, because they did make a Breath of Fire 6, but it was only on mobile, Kyle, and mobile is stupid. So
we don't endorse mobile players here at this
podcast. Get the fuck out.
You're not a real gamer. You're a person who plays on their phone when they poop. That's all.
That's right.
What you are to me.
That's right. Which you can do with your Switch, and then that's okay. If it's a Switch, it's okay.
It's okay if you poop with Switch. You know?
Yeah,
definitely understand.
But I think you know what? Let's start fresh and kind of like almost like a soft reboot. I think a sequel is in order. I think we should just go sequel, make a new Breath of Fire, but not 7, just like Breath of Fire, whatever. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And just start fresh and like, you know, throw that shit on Unreal Engine 5. It'll be gorgeous, Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely. Gorgeous. You know. Do you want? Are you talking like realistic, like new age graphics? You know, like what's the style you're thinking of here?
Definitely more animated.
Anime,
so like,
okay, yeah. No, yeah. I guess by realistic, I don't mean like photorealistic, but just like you said, Unreal 5. So you don't want it to be a Switch game. You want it to be a next gen.
Oh yeah, like
giant. Okay, yeah.
Tales of Arise, for example.
Sure, yeah.
Think that would be fantastic.
Would love that. Yeah.
Yeah. So. That's what
I love that series. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can't go wrong with a protagonist that literally can transform into a dragon. I mean, come on.
It's pretty nice. Yeah.
Yeah, you throw dragons in there, and that's a win. Mm-hmm. Speaking of dragons, Kyle, my number 2 is Legend of Dragoon.
Yes.
Yes.
This should be on everybody's list of
absolutely.
games that need to come back or re-release or whatever. So what's your poison here? What are you looking for? Do you want a re-release? Want a remake? You know, I'm so hungry. Just give me anything.
Yeah.
You know, I guess in a perfect world, like something nice and shiny would be cool.
So this is actually what's so weird because Sony just did the whole like new revamp of PlayStation Plus, so they have PlayStation Plus Premium and so far. Why isn't Legend of Dragoon on there? They literally own the property. It was published and made by Japan Studio, Sony's studio.
They've treated like this series like a weird stepchild for its entire existence, and I'll never understand it. It's not like some weird Chrono Trigger thing where like 1,000 people don't know who owns the property or anything like that. It's very clear who owns the property for this, name.
They do.
I will never understand why that's not something that they just kept on pumping out. Even at that time, I thought it was pretty popular, you know. And the fact that like, you know, they were sequelizing a lot of stuff, and that never got its.
It's literally just the one game. It's just the one game.
One amazing game with a wonderful combat system.
Yeah. It came out. So it came out at the end of the PlayStation 1 life.
Was it the same year as Final Fantasy VII?
No, because Final Fantasy VII came out in '97. Legend of Dragoon came out in '99.
Oh, I didn't realize there was that much space in between them. Okay, cool.
So
I didn't know if one was stepping on the other or something like that.
Right. But yeah, like you were mentioning with the combat. So the combat, it's a combination of turn-based and real-time commands. So it's called addition. So during each attack, it requires a player to press a button when 2 squares converge. So basically, you're similar to Super Mario RPG. Mm-hmm. Like if you timed your button presses when you're supposed to, you know, when those squares converge, it would continue the combo, and you could basically unlock new combos. So some of them, like it would be like 4 strikes, 7 strikes, and you would have to level up those combos to unlock new combos. The interactivity with the combat was so cool and unique,
especially for that time, you know. Like, you know, in a time where you didn't really need to reinvent that like concept, you know. Not that it was brand new or anything like that, but turn-based was still very in. They were like, we're gonna reinvent that, and like I thought that was super bold, and it's a game that everybody remembers, and I'll never understand why this game is not like.
I know. Yeah. And again, like I said, you put dragons. I mean, they're basically they're group of warriors, and they have the ability to turn into a dragoon, which is like this armor that they wear that gives them kind of like this dragon-like aesthetic. But it's like
much
an armor.
like the dragons from like Final Fantasy IV, you know, like like they kind of have like similar like cool armor and stuff like that. Man, this was an easy sell. Like I don't.
Yeah, so I think the original still holds up. Just for the love of God, just freaking put it on PlayStation Plus Premium, whatever you want to call it. I think it still holds up. I think you could just play the original and it works. So I think a sequel to this would be really cool. They've been talking about it for years, potentially making a second one. Obviously, I think it's just people on the internet just rumoring. A sequel, I think, would be great. Just kind of like have it be a certain amount of time later and whole new story. So number 3, Kyle, Skies of Arcadia.
That time I'll have to mark that off for me. Yeah, Skies of Arcadia is wonderful.
Oh my God!
Was that another one and doneer where it was just like there was another one that everyone was just like, dude, Sky Pirates, it's so cool, it's a great game. It was on GameCube too, right?
So Dreamcast first, and then they re-released it with like some extra stuff on GameCube.
Okay, so it's Dreamcast and Game. So these are like, not the leading consoles at the time and stuff like that. They're being sold, and I just remember everyone really celebrating this game and just crickets. Never anything new. Was this a level 5 joint or
no? So it's Sega. So all right. So
it's Sega. Okay.
So Skies of Arcadia was developed by Overworks.
Okay.
An internal dev team at Sega.
And I'm assuming they're not around anymore. I'm assuming.
I think they had. I was reading actually the Wikipedia. I think they basically just over time had like sort of consolidated teams and like changed the names and so on and so forth. But yeah, so it literally is owned by Sega. It was published by Sega, an internal team at Sega.
So nothing is keeping anybody from making another one of these.
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah, good job, everybody.
They even had an homage to the two main characters, Vice and Ica, in was it Valkyria Chronicles? You can unlock them. They're characters that you can unlock, like just kind of like a little Easter egg. And it's like, oh, cool. So is this like is this?
We're
anything?
Gonna get more, right?
Nope. But yeah, dude, the world of this game is so freaking unique.
Yeah.
Just it's so cool, Kyle. Like the whole thing is just you on an airship up in the clouds, traversing between these floating continents.
Yeah. It's super cool, man. And like the whole concept of Sky Pirates is like, that's a concept that would hit today, and its execution's really cool. Wasn't there like airship combat too? Like you were doing both Kyle. Airship and like swashbuckling, sword fighting stuff like that as well.
So this traditional
turn-based, it's like a pirate game, but like you're in the air.
Yeah, you're leveling up your party and doing traditional combat, turn-based combat, but then you're also you're upgrading like this airship and putting new cannons and armor on it, and it's just so freaking cool.
Like, why is this game not on Steam? You know what I mean? Like Tales of Tales of Symphonia got put on Steam a couple years ago, which is like that game never got put on anything else but like the GameCube.
Right.
So like, why can we not pluck that one out of like Sega needs to be talking with Gabe Newell? Like these conversations need to be happening.
It's absurd. It's absurd, and that's why these are on my list. These one-offs, because it's like these two one-offs. It's like it just doesn't make sense. Like how have we not like dabbled in these worlds again? It makes no sense.
You didn't prep me that this episode's gonna make me mad. You know what I mean? I guess I should have
spoiler alert.
I guess I should have foreseen it. Like we're gonna be talking about our darlings that are gonna be made. Yeah. I guess I didn't realize it was gonna evoke so much anger out of me. So apologies, everybody.
Well, again, these are in my opinion, these are fantastic JRPGs, and it's like, they just never. And the story is actually pretty cool. I mean, like just a quick little thing, like. So the reason why there's these floating continents is like, so there were these different civilizations, ancient civilizations, and they were at war with one another. But one of them was a bit more advanced, so it used its gigas, which I forget what the gigas are in the game. I'm assuming it's some sort of giant creature, and it summoned the rains of destruction. So it basically pulled these meteors down from orbiting moons and just like launched it down at the planet, and just decimated the entire surface. And I think just like the magic and sort of like gravity and everything just kind of like lifted all of like what was remaining to just kind of be floating around.
That's cool backstory. It's cool world building.
Yeah, it's very cool. It gives context to why you're literally flying around. Yeah. But yeah, just that I mean, I don't know if you would necessarily need to I mean, you could remaster that one because
it's got a unique enough art style where I think it might up-res well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think also a sequel, like remaster it so you kind of put it back in people's minds, because that first one is fantastic, to kind of remind people like, oh shit, like this is an awesome JRPG, and then like just you can make a sequel. Honestly, you can make a sequel to all of these. It doesn't really. I could check off all the boxes and be like, you know what, I want a remake.
Yeah, give me a remake, a sequel, and a re-release. I want.
They're doing it. They're doing it to Last of Us. So
yeah, right. And I want all these games to play exactly like they did the day.
Yes, yes, exactly.
No upgrades, no quality of life, anything. I don't want.
Please charge me full price.
And charge me $70, please.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Please. All right. So next one. Speaking of Kyle, of Super Mario RPG, my number 4 is Super Mario RPG: Legend of the Seven Stars.
Dan, I love this choice so much, but you know that you're just hurting yourself every time you have these. You know what I mean? Like you're just.
I am. Well,
this is another one where it's like, surely that game sold really well, right? Like maybe we could pull up numbers sometime. I don't really know, but like that's another one where I'm like, I think everybody I know who played RPGs during the SNES era, one of their favorite games is Super Mario RPGs. So it's like here's another idea that's sitting on the table that things like Paper Mario just aren't filling the void of. You know what I mean? Like it's doing its best, but like there is a wide open idea. Oh, I guess some of the Bowser story are turn-based, like the old DS games. I want a real Super Mario RPG. You know what I mean?
So this one's I think a little trickier because it was a collaboration between Nintendo and Squaresoft.
Yeah, not in
Remember Squaresoft? Do you remember Squaresoft?
Yeah, now
before they merged.
Hard.
Yes, now they're Square Hard.
No, I understand there's complications there, but you don't have to call it that. You can make a deal with Square to do a spiritual successor called Mario RPG.
No, I don't want a spiritual successor, Kyle. I want a continuation. That's what I want.
You can't, like you said, like maybe the best we can get. But this is your list, like so. Yes. You're talking like an actual sequel. Is this another one that you think would benefit from re-releasing? Because that's another thing, right? This game hasn't been re-released in any capacity, right?
You can it's on the so on the Switch you have the the Nintendo whatever you want to call the virtual console. Yeah, the Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and 64 they just dropped recently. So Super Mario RPG is on the
I didn't realize it was on there.
Yeah, it's on there. So it is available.
So that's a game that's right to play right now. It doesn't age too horribly, and you can sequelize this. You know what I mean? Like it's an easy enough game to jump into, and the combat is amazing in this game.
Yeah, like I said, it involves timing and inflicting additional damage or attacks with the timing of button presses. The cast of characters is really cool. So you have a couple of like known characters. You got Princess Peach and Bowser actually joins your party. But then you have these two new characters, Malo and Gino, which shout out to Gino. I mean, Gino missed opportunity in Smash Brothers. That's all I'll say.
I know. Yeah, we've had the conversation. Yeah. What a great like that's another great fringe choice too. That like you would make 11 people the happiest people in the entire world.
No, 11 million, Kyle. 11 million.
While everybody played, Super Mario RPG, I wonder how many like Geno stands there are out there.
Sure.
I like them. So we got two here. So
dude, one of his special abilities, he just literally transforms into a cannon and fires this fucking like laser beam. Useful. Just like that's his special attack. Like it's just badass. He just turns into like these cool things. Yeah, it's just that I love that game, and it was my first JRPG I ever played, so it has a very special place in my heart.
Okay, that's super interesting. I bet that was the intent of that game. Number one is to kind of bring people. I really like Mario. I play all the Mario games, and here's a new kind of version of that, and it probably introduced a lot of people to that genre.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you what my first RPG. It had to be a Final Fantasy if I had to take a guess.
Yeah, and this was the first RPG in the Mario franchise too, so. So it was a very unique mashup. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then the last one, which I mean, I'm gonna guess is on your list. It's a easy one to pick. Chrono Trigger.
Is that an indie game? I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, it's not very known. It's not very known.
Is that a puzzle game? What is that?
Yeah, it's a match.
Shooter. Trigger. The trigger. Shooter game.
Pull my devil trigger. Pull my devil trigger.
Pull my devil trigger. Yeah.
Pull my Chrono Trigger.
Great song, really horribly live. It was the worst song ever live during that game performance. I don't know if you
the lyrics are pretty corny, but
I don't know if you remember that live performance. It was awful.
I vaguely remember.
In the game, though, a lot of fun.
Yes, absolutely. But Chrono Trigger, one of the I mean, it is a lot of people and websites and so on. It's considered one of the greatest RPGs, if not the greatest JRPG of all time.
One of the greatest games of all time.
Right.
Even outside genre.
This I didn't actually know, Kyle. So Chrono Trigger was developed, published by Squaresoft. We already know that. Originally released on Super Nintendo in 1995. It had been re-released a couple times after that. This I didn't know, though. The game's development team included 3 designers that Square dubbed the Dream Team. Hironobu Sakaguchi, Kyle, the father of Final Fantasy.
I've never heard of him. Yeah, sorry.
I hope you're. I hope
you're. No, DOG. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, yeah. This is the Avengers of like, you're absolutely. Go ahead.
Yeah. So Hironobu Sakaguchi, creator of Final Fantasy, Yuji Horii, the creator of Enix's Dragon Quest series. So the antithesis of Final Fantasy, right? the Dragon Quest series. And Akira Toriyama, you know, character designer of Dragon Quest and author of, I don't know, Dragon Ball manga series.
Yeah, I go back a couple episodes. Might be a fan. I don't know.
Yeah. So that's like a sick collaboration, right? I mean, having those just geniuses combining all their creativity together. And that's why you see, you know, the art for the game looking like a Dragon Ball type of like, you're like, why do these characters look like they would fit in Dragon Ball? But like the game obviously is 16-bit, you know, pixelated game. So you wouldn't have known that unless you saw, you know, the artwork, or later on when they re-released it, they had actual like cutscenes.
Yeah.
That were animated. So that's where the Toriyama sort of inspiration comes from. But yeah, I mean, the game, just like with Cross, you know, very wrapped around the concept of time. Trigger features 12 unique endings because obviously there's different things you can do at different points in the game to get different, you know, sort of events to happen and not happen, so on and so forth. And Lavos, this is where we learn about Lavos, which also does pop up in Chrono Cross. He is a extraterrestrial parasitic creature that harvests the DNA and Earth's energy for its own growth. So he's just a little just gross bastard, just sucking the life out of the planet. But yeah, in the game you're bouncing around different timelines, so not like in Cross where you're kind of going between these two sort of alternate, these like kind of like parallel like timeline universes. In this one you're actually in the same time. It's like the same time, but you're bouncing around the different. So you go to like prehistoric times, you go to like this dystopian future time. It's a fantastic game. The combat's really cool. You've got like these combo attacks that you can do, that you unlock over time. It's like active time battle. So like things are kind of still happening, but you're then choosing a move and doing a move.
Newer versions of the game, you can choose non-active if like it's too chaotic for you, you know. This game's readily available on Steam. You know, pretty easy to play. You know,
it is.
You can play on a mobile if you want to. I'll judge you.
But you can
play on mobile if you want to. You know.
But you're a piece of shit if you do. So.
Yeah, not to be a total gatekeeper, you know, but like if you're a mobile player, you're a piece of shit. I don't know.
Absolutely. So whereas we just got a remaster of Chrono Cross, and technically Chrono Trigger is available, I want the long rumored Chrono Star and so there's been Chrono Star and Chrono Breaker over the years that have been rumored as a sequel.
Give me like the spark notes on this because I don't know if I'm overly familiar with these terms. So
it's just
sequels. Are they director's cuts? Okay, sequels.
Sequels. Yeah. Much like kind of like Chrono Cross isn't like literally like you're not playing as Chrono.
Sure. Yeah.
You're not playing as like the main cast, but like obviously there's the ties to Trigger because obviously it is connected to Trigger.
Part of the Chrono universe.
Yeah, so I think
the Chronoverse.
The Chronoverse, yes. I think you could continue that theme in a sequel where, you know, Lavos is still involved in some way, shape, or form, and it's connected to previous characters that have existed in these past two games, but it's a new cast of characters. Yeah. So give me a sequel, you know, that looks nice and shiny and beautiful, and just more time traveling. It's even throw in a whole other thing that involves time and make it wacky. You know what? Time travel, those things are always wacky. It's always like, oh, I don't know about this, and I'm like, you know what? Just take me down a road. I don't care. Do some weird shit with time. I don't care. But yeah, Chrono Trigger is one of the greats of all time.
It is one of the greats. Absolutely.
It's one of the greats. But that is my list, Kyle.
Yeah, good. You got a good 5 here.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
These are games I long for. And can I make a pitch about Chrono Trigger? If you wanted to do a Final Fantasy VII remake style, we're gonna remake Chrono Trigger, but it's not a remake. It actually takes place in the same. But there's so much timey-wimey bullshit or whatever. Sure. It's actually like not a sequel, but like a you know, like a reboot sequel or whatever. You know.
I see what
I'd be super into that. Yeah, I'd be super into that. So just throwing it out there. Never gonna happen, but it's fine. All right, I got a different 5. I try to champion some. I don't know. Some of these games I'm gonna call like lesser known, but you're gonna be like, I know that game. That's not lesser known or whatever.
Sure.
But these are long, not talked about franchises that I think would benefit from a second chance. maybe a third chance for some of them. I don't know. But just an idea of like making them a little more compatible to experience in the modern era without needing to download emulation or buy consoles that don't exist anymore and stuff like that. So just kind of giving you an idea of my mind frame of making this list. My number one, I think, is going to be one of the more obvious ones. Xenogears, mechs, swords, that's all you need, it's sci-fi adjacent and stuff like that. I'm not talking a Xenosaga thing, you know what I mean? You always heard that stuff where Xenosaga was a spiritual successor to this game. I thought those games were super cool. They're very cinematic, very sci-fi. I want to get back to what Xenogears was about, I think this might be a game that you can play on the premium. Is that right? Do you know?
No,
is this not one?
No.
So we got another Legends of Dragoon situation where this is a beloved franchise. It's not available to play easily.
I don't think so anyways.
I think to make an ease of access of playing this game without owning a Vita or a PlayStation 3 or something like that, you need to make this readily available and set it up for a sequel or a reboot or something like that. I just think there's a lot of opportunity here for really good storytelling, really good modern day JRPGing. So I felt like I had to give Xenogears a shout out there.
to throw in there also, because actually I never got around to playing this. I definitely will in the future.
Yeah.
I always heard that the game doesn't actually have a definitive ending, right? Didn't they like run out of budget, so the game doesn't actually?
Yeah. I feel, my memory may be not serving me like well here, but like it doesn't have a good ending in that, like, it felt like there was going to be a sequel. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Maybe there's some credence to the like running out of budget rumors and stuff like that. I remember hearing about that stuff, but like it's easy to also pitch like, hey, they thought they were going to make a second one, and they just never did.
Sure.
So yeah, I think I don't remember how abrupt the ending was, but I just remember like the journey being really cool. So maybe on a repeat play, it might feel like maybe like Knights of the Old Republic 2, which like they cut out like the whole ending for that, or Metal Gear Solid 5, as we talked about recently. Where it's like, hey, we missed the whole act of that game. Sorry. So it's like there might be some of that as well. But now's the time to rectify that. You know what I mean?
Yes, that's what I mean.
If its legacy is like an uncompleted story or whatever, like let's finish it up. You know what I mean? Let's make a director's cut or something like that. Let's re-release it in a way that's playable, and then do a remake. And I'm gonna maybe say this for all of them, but do like a Final Fantasy VII remake where it's like time stuff is involved and they're just retelling the story.
Sure.
But yeah, Xenogears is my first pick. I think that it's just aesthetically a really cool game that like you could really sell in today's age.
Yeah. And
mechs, dude. Come on, man. It's never gonna die. You might be into this. Golden Sun.
Hey, yeah, nice. That's a good pick. That's a good pick.
I think these games only existed on portable systems. They were beloved on advanced systems. I think they made a third one on DS that wasn't so loved. For someone who loved 1 and 2 so much, I didn't play 3, so maybe I'm a fake fan. I don't know. But I remember it just not being received very well. Here's a good opportunity to really. This is like a puzzle. Like there's a lot of like puzzles that have to do with like sunlight and stuff like that. But with real traditional turn-based action and stuff. I just remember these worlds being really cool to be in. I remember the pixel art being really great. I think this is just a really good series that could benefit from just people being reminded that it existed once upon a time, and that a lot of people really enjoyed it, and that maybe it's something that we could champion and push forward, especially because I don't think Nintendo has a lot of like, would you dare call this first party? I forget what developer did this, but like an exclusive, RPG or whatever. It could be another one under their wing that they could really utilize in a big way. So
because the third one was called Dark Dawn, and that was done by Camelot.
Okay.
Developer of the first. Yeah, I think Camelot did all of them.
Oh, okay.
So
maybe like a sucker punch relationship, where they don't own them, but a lot of partnerships or something. But yeah, Golden Sun, I think it's a really fun game. And if you wanted to keep it Switch adjacent and kind of keep it retro style and stuff like that, it could be like a today's age triangle strategy or
the 2D, the HD 2D, whatever.
Really, that beautiful HD 2D like sprite art that they do these days. So throw it out there, Golden Sun, a lot of fun. Throwback series. Big fan of that. I don't know if you're familiar with this one. I know you're not you're probably familiar, but I know you grew up not a big Xbox player, you know. But Lost Odyssey, you know, remember when Xbox 360?
I need to get to that.
Xbox 360 was trying so hard to have like a whole Japanese edge to them. You know, with
so
Blue
hard,
Dragon,
so
it was Blue Dragon, which were all good games. They really actually did a good job of but no one cared. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Lost Odyssey, really unique combat system, really cinematic, even though it's turn-based, you know. Really, really cool. I even like the opening, like you're on a battlefield and like things are coming at you, and it's still turn-based, but it makes they do a really good job of making it feel like it's all happening in real time. And I don't really know how to pull it off, and I don't know how to describe it in a way that like sells it in a way that like says, hey, you need to go play this game. It's really unique. But it is, and you should. Also the idea of playing a immortal character who's lived across time, like you're meeting your kids who you didn't know you had, you know, throughout this journey. You know, a lot of it falls in those Final Fantasy 13 trappings of like you have to read the story, not experience it. So you know, sometimes that sucks you out of it. But there's enough cutscenes and stuff there that make it really unique. Again, the fighting system is really unique. It's really cinematic. It's a really cool universe. I can't believe it's a game that only got one game. You know what I mean? I feel like it's another one that people really look fondly back on. So
well, it makes sense too. So it came from was it Mistwalker, which is the studio that the father of Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi, created after he left Square Enix.
Yeah.
So I think that dev is just not very large. So they probably got money from Xbox, but then it perhaps didn't sell super well.
It probably didn't. Xboxes didn't, like, they weren't flying up the shelves in Japan.
Yeah.
And so we were entering the era where JRPGs weren't mainstream anymore.
Yeah.
Because more people were gaming and first-person shooters and stuff like that became kind of more popular and stuff as more mainstream people kind of got involved. So.
But that's definitely a must for me now owning an Xbox, because obviously
you gotta play it, dude. It's like $9 or something like that. It's super cheap.
Well, I have it. Like I did buy it when it was on sale. I just need to get to
it. Big time Final Fantasy vibes. You know what I mean? It does feel like
that makes sense.
Yeah. That's saying who the director was. You know, it does feel like a story like that or something of that ilk. So you're gonna feel right at home with that game.
Nice.
My next, I would take a gosh, I don't even know how you would go about that. A re-release doesn't seem right because it actually still looks pretty good, you know.
Yeah.
You know,
maybe kind
a remaster,
of expand the story, like
expand the story or something like that. You know, I feel like
digestible.
Maybe, yeah, absolutely. I just think it's a game series kind of right for the picking there.
Yeah.
This one's a really interesting pick. I wanted to pick this one. It's actually a series I haven't fully played all the way through. It's one I've always like peripherally like respected in a big way because it's always had a huge following and stuff like that. But it's just impossible to play every entry because it exists across so many different consoles and stuff like that.
Okay.
So kind of what I'm pitching here is like put out a collection of this series.
Okay.
And then maybe make a new game that kind of moves the story forward. And we're talking, if you put all these games in one collection, like 1,000 hours of gameplay, you know?
Can I guess what it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say was it the Trails of Cold Steel or?
Yeah, dude, you fucking nailed it, man. Yeah, Legends of Heroes, Trails in the Sky, Trails of Cold Steel. You know, that whole series, the Legends of Heroes series or whatever. I think there needs just to be an easy way to like get all these games in one spot, just play them, you know. Because
they are connected.
They're connected in a way that they're direct sequels. As one ends, one begins, you know. So it's not like you might want to know the first 7 games before you play 8. No, you have to know the first 7 games before you play 8. So there's not an easy way to pick up these games and play them, you know. There's a lot of like Persona vibes. So like as Persona's getting like bigger and stuff like that, like this game uses a lot of those kind of mechanics and stuff of creating social links and talking to people and running around like a hub area in between major missions to kind of like create a connection to side characters and stuff.
Yep.
It is traditional turn-based. I think that changes as it goes on. I'm not 100% sure. I forget how the I know Trails of in the Sky is a little more traditional, but I think Cold Steel might change the dynamic a little bit.
Yeah.
Again, this is a series that I've always wanted to play. I've always heard like glowing things about it. This could be the next Final Fantasy, but just no one knows about it because it's just not marketed and it's not available in a way that people can play it. So please put that game out in a playable way. And really, I would just take a collection. You don't have to make anything new.
What?
Just compile them all in one thing, you know?
I was going to say, they did it with the Yakuza games. So do it with these because it's like the Yakuza games are so connected. Like
I'll pay $70 for these games. You know, like that's a lot of content. You know,
yeah.
One collection. So. My last one, and I don't know if you're familiar with this game. It's a DS game that ended up being re-released on the 3DS with some new content. It's a game called Radiant Historia.
Ooh. I forget if this is connected to Radiata Stories from PS2.
I'm not 100% sure about that. The gimmick of this game was it was as another time travel game. It felt a lot like Chrono Trigger in a lot of ways.
Okay.
But the cool thing about it is that you would play. There was multiple different time branches. So like where in Chrono Trigger, like you kind of pick a lane and you see that through to like one of the 12 endings or whatever, or through your choices, it kind of happens. And this, you kind of have a map that like spider webs out to your choices, and you will hit dead ends that like end your empire, end that character's life, do this or whatever. But you always have the ability to go back and figure out what the right path is to get the good ending or whatever. Okay. And it's really, really involved. The sprite work is really beautiful. The story is wonderful. The characters are absolutely outstanding. This is like the most unsung hero of JRPGs that ever JRPG'd. It sounds like you haven't heard of it, you know. It's just one of those things where
I'm familiar with it.
Maybe you've heard of it, but like didn't play it, you know. It's just one of those games that just didn't get enough eyes on it or whatever. Yeah. And I feel like if you just throw this bad boy on the eShop, just as is, exactly how it is, don't change anything, it would give it a second life where this could be a really big series that we could see really flourish in some really interesting ways. So I really champion that game. I've been trying to get people to play this game since the DS came out. You know, it's quality throwback JRPG with just a really cool mechanic with the time and stuff like that. So
yeah, I like looking it up right now. Like I'm familiar. I've seen the art. I know what the game looks like. I remember it being like, oh, this is a pretty game. Like I like the look of this game. It's just I don't think I had a DS by the time this came out.
Sure. Yeah.
Because this might have been later in the DS's life. Yeah, I think. Yeah, but then I think whenever I saw this, I always wondered if it was connected to Radiata Stories from PS2. I don't know if you ever played that one.
I did. Yeah.
That I really enjoyed that one. I didn't know if they was actually connected or not, but yeah, these are really good. You got some like interesting choices in there, Kyle. I feel like mine were a bit more mainstream.
That's like okay. We covered the gamut now. We got you have to have Chrono Trigger on there. You have to have all the games that you said on there. You have to, you know, like
absolutely.
So you know, I feel like we're hitting the niche crowd and we're hitting the the no duh crowd. So
I'm curious what some of the other ones were that you had on your list though.
I can name them off real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just going through it real quick. Dragon Quest sequels to the main hits. So like Dragon Quest sequel to 8. Those characters are great. Why not get more of them, right?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Dragon Quest 11, you know, the new one that came out. Characters are great. Why not get a sequel to that?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
You know? I felt that was like kind of a cheat answer, so I didn't put it on there. I've talked to you about this game before, Dragon Ball Z Attack of the Saiyans. This could be a whole series. I have no idea why they didn't make more of these games. It was a DS game. It was very quality turn-based RPG that kind of retold the Saiyan saga of Dragon Ball Z. Being able to choose the move Kamehameha Wave, Final Flash, Big Bang, or whatever, like just from a menu, it just felt right. Everything about it felt right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Lunar, in general, all of it. I really
never
like
played
Silver Star. Oh man, you gotta play Silver Star Story. It's a must. It's a must. Shadow Hearts. That's one of my favorite PS2.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah.
Has a very Legend of Dragoon style of combat. Instead of there being like synchronizing squares, it's a circle. Like, you have to hit it in the right thing. It did get a sequel at some point.
I think there's like 3 or 4 of them actually.
Ooh, really? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I really like the series. I like the first game a lot. I thought the story was really good, and it's just one of those like classic early PS2 RPGs.
Yep.
Phantasy Star proper, not online.
Ooh.
Phantasy Star. You know, I think we need more sci-fi fantasy RPGs. You know what I mean? I don't think we have enough of them.
Like Star Ocean, right? That new Star Ocean.
Like Star Ocean. Yeah, exactly. I want all the characters to look the main character in that game.
Yeah, he looks great.
I chose this last one for Tim and for me too. Suikoden. Come on.
Suikoden.
What are you doing, guys?
But I mean, it's Konami. It's Konami. That's why.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
it's Konami, Kyle.
They're too busy making promises about Metal Gear Solid to,
yeah, we'll see.
Make other games. Yeah. Everyone's like, you excited about this news? I'm like, as excited as I'm allowing myself to be. Yeah.
We'll see, Kyle. I mean, fingers crossed, you know?
Yeah,
fingers crossed.
Right. If everyone thinks Metal Gear Solid 4 is going to suddenly be available, I wouldn't hold your breath on that one.
I mean, maybe it will be, but for like $100.
I'd pay it. Make it available. I don't care. Make it $300. I'll pay it. Just make it available. 300. I really don't care. It's just it'll be entombed on the PS3 forever. And Konami, you know what they care? They don't. They just don't. So.
No, unless it's pachinko money, they don't care.
Yeah, so. Right. We're turning Metal Gear Solid 4 into a pachinko machine. You see all of the cutscenes as you're playing pachinko. You know?
That would just blow my head off just with a gun. Boom, gone. Well, that's a good list, Kyle. I liked that list. It's very fun. Really just can't go wrong with going back in time and looking at some of these old JRPGs and just being like, you know, what the hell? Like, just bring them back. Like, just do something.
Especially if you just keep them sprite-based games and stuff. You want to keep them small experiences or whatever. Like, these don't seem like tall orders. You know what I mean? And, like, you'd make a lot of people happy. You know what I mean? Like, it's just really good fanfare to reach out and make a fringe sequel to a game like Radiant, you know, Historia or something like that. Like, no one knows what that shit is, you know? So it'd just be super cool to take that chance. Like I felt like more chances were taken in those early years of gaming, especially the PS1, PS2 era. I just felt like people really like greenlit stuff, like in a way that we got a lot of experimental ideas and stuff like that, and I just don't feel that in this genre anymore.
And I think that would balance out really well with like your action RPGs that they're throwing out there. Like people, so everyone complaining now that, you know, for example, Final Fantasy 16 is going to be more actiony.
Yeah,
and it's like that's fine because you can balance that out with these games that are still turn-based.
Yeah,
and still have those vibes and, you know, homages to what has been and just kind of building on that and adding to it, you know. I think those things can both exist. So
I think so too. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Why not both?
Why not both? Exactly. Well, Kyle, that's it. We weebed super hard.
I'm weebed out, man.
Yeah, it's just, you know, so out. I'm just tired of weebing.
Too weeb, too weebious. You know what I mean?
Yes. Too weeb, too weebious. Is it too fast, too furious? Is that what? I don't know if that works.
That's what that was. That's
all right.
It was.
I don't know. I'm tired. But Kyle, thank you again. Thank you for being here again.
Thank you.
I appreciate you. And we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Okay, bye.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.